Hello guys, in this video we are going to study about respiratory changes in pregnancy. It is such an important topic and such an important changes in pregnancy that almost every year or almost every alternate year a question will be asked. Another very important topic about the changes in pregnancy is cardiovascular system. Other than that, CNS, renal, endocrine, they are not really so much asked. Hematology sometimes asked, but respiratory mostly asked. Right, so respiratory changes in pregnancy. First of all, before we start the respiratory changes in pregnancy, we have to study the graph that we already studied in our physiology classes about the respiratory graph, right? Volume curve graphs. First of all, at the bottommost part, this is residual volume. Residual volume is the volume of the lung that even if you try to expire out, you won't be able to, right? It helps the lung from collapsing. Now, between this, this is called tidal volume. Now, the tidal volume is the volume that we inspire, then expire in a normal respiration, inspire and then expire, right? Now, after the tidal volume, if after inspiration in a normal, after a normal inspiration, if we inspire even more with our whole effort, this will, what is this called? This particular thing, this is called the inspiratory reserve volume. It is the reserved volume that we can inspire even more after a normal inspiration, means after a normal tidal volume, right? Now we can also expire in a tidal volume. So after expiration in a tidal volume means after a normal expiration, we can expire even more out after squeezing our lungs. So this particular volume is called expiratory reserve volume. We all know that. So you understood now what are these four volumes. Now there is a combination of the volumes, right? What are the combination of the volume? First one, inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume. Inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume. This is called inspiratory capacity. Always remember, capacity is a addition of two volumes and volume is only one volume, right? Now, what is this? Expiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. This is functional residual capacity, right? We all know that. Nothing much of the great deal. What is this volume? Addition of all these three, inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume. This is vital capacity, right? Vital capacity. And of course, what is this? This is the easiest one. If you make mistake in this one, I don't know what to do. What is this? This is total lung capacity. Of course, this will be total lung capacity, right? So that's it, guys. So what are the changes? Now we will study what are the changes, right? Always remember that this is the most important part of the respiratory changes in pregnancy. First of all, we start with the volumes. Right? We will start with the volume. Always remember the volumes first, then the capacity second. Always remember the volume first. Okay. First of all, the lowest one is residual volume. Now see what will happen when there is pregnancy, right? This is our chest, this is diaphragm, and this is the uterus normal. When there is pregnancy, the uterus will grow like this and it will push the diaphragm above. This is a normal diaphragm and now the diaphragm is pushed above, right? So the residual volume is the first volume. The lowest volume is the first volume that will decrease. Okay, so remember that residual volume will decrease. Next, expiratory reserve volume again decrease, right? I remembered in this way that diaphragm push karega upar, diaphragm agar ye this is diaphragm, I remember this is diaphragm will be pushed upwards. If diaphragm is pushed upwards, sabse niche ka do volume will get reduced, right? So residual volume reduce ho gaya, expiratory reserve volume reduce ho gaya. Now what will happen? Tidal volume will increase. ठीक है, तो we all know that whenever something is decreasing or increasing by sympathetic pathway, the opposite happens. So ये दोनों decrease किया, expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume, तो tidal volume increase, and there is a volume that remains normal, right? It is so high above, I remember this in this way, that it is so high above the diaphragm that the uterus is unable to affect it, right? So inspiratory reserve volume is normal. Now it has become very easy for us to actually solve the inspiratory capacities. This one is inspiratory capacity. Now what will happen to it? Inspiratory capacity is an addition of inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume. Inspiratory reserve volume is normal and tidal volume is increasing. So the addition of these two will also again be increasing. Very simple. What will happen to FRC? FRC, of course, it will decrease. Okay? There is no doubt that FRC will not decrease. Why? Why FRC will decrease? Because it is a combination of expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. It will decrease. It has to decrease. Okay? Then coming to vital capacity. Vital capacity, you can see it is a combination of tidal volume. It is a combination of tidal volume, expiratory reserve volume, and IRV. IRV is normal, TV is increasing, expiratory reserve volume is increasing. So vital capacity is a combination of normal, increase, and decrease. That's why it will again remain normal, right? Normal. Or you can also say it can decrease. Why decrease? Because expiratory reserve volume is a greater volume than tidal volume. So a greater volume will have more effect. That's why it may decrease slightly or it may remain normal. For you should remain. If you have to remember one thing, then remember normal. Right, now coming to the total lung capacity. Again, total lung capacity will be normal. Right, you have to remember the total lung capacity will be normal, right? So it is a very important thing. Now there are few more things that you need to remember. Minute ventilation. Minute ventilation. Minute ventilation is tidal volume into respiratory rate, right? So what happens to tidal volume? We have already seen that tidal volume is increasing. So tidal volume increase. What happens to respiratory rate? Very important. Respiratory rate remains normal. Respiratory rate doesn't increase in pregnancy. Many people make mistake in this only. Respiratory rate increases. They mark it at respiratory rate increase because they think that the total lung capacity decrease. That's why respiratory rate will increase. Very wrong. This is not like heart rate, that blood is less, so rate will increase. Right, respiratory rate is normal. So if tidal volume is increasing and respiratory rate is increasing, minute ventilation will also increase. Very easy. Okay, and we already studied, abhi we studied respiratory rate remains normal. Okay, next important point. So let me complete this topic by writing a list. What remains normal? What remains normal? Very important. First of all, we saw that respiratory rate remains normal. Very important. Okay, I am highlighting it with red again because you will make mistakes in it. Then total lung capacity remains normal. Then vital capacity remains normal, already said. Then there is a volume that remains normal. See, the volume which is above, highest above, inspiratory reserve volume, right? These are the four things. Then there are a few more things. Maximum breathing capacity. Maximum breathing capacity. See, maximum breathing capacity is a function of your own body strength or your own body. If you have a lung right now or even after pregnancy, if you have a lung now or even after pregnancy, your maximum breathing capacity cannot change, right? If you have a brain, for example, if you have a brain and you are said to do a mathematics question, your maximum breathing capacity, your maximum brain capacity will not change. If you are solving a mathematics question or if you are a scientist, your maximum brain capacity will remain the same even if you are not doing nothing or doing everything. Maximum capacity always remains the same. It cannot increase or decrease, right? So that's it, guys. That's everything that I wanted you to know. Another very important thing, one important thing but not mentioned last, uterus pushes the diaphragm. Uterus pushes the diaphragm up by 4 centimeters, right? Up by 4 centimeters. And since it pushes it up, I already told you रेजिडुअल वॉल्यूम क्या होगा, डिक्रीज, एंड एक्सपायरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम डिक्रीज. नीचे का 2 डिक्रीज हो जाएगा, राइट? ट्रांसवर्स डायमीटर ऑफ चेस्ट increase by 2 centimeters, right? So that's it, guys. These are the two things I wanted you to know. What remains normal is extremely important, and what are the changes, right? Always start with residual volume. Always start with residual volume. Expiratory reserve volume, both of them decrease. Next, tidal volume, remember that it increases. And lastly, सबसे ऊपर वाला is so up that uterus cannot affect it. Remember it in this way. And after that you will be able to make out the inspiratory capacity, functional residual capacity, vital capacity, TLC by adding plus and minus करके you will be able to take it out. And always remember that respiratory rate is normal. Okay, don't forget it. So that's it. Everything you need to know and everything you need to make your questions correct is here. Thank you.